Assyrian people gradually started moving into Soviet society. They found a reliable shelter here to spread the seeds of national enlightenment and revive Assyrian culture and traditions. However, misfortunes would follow this nation again. The victims would be ordinary people, irrespective of their nationality or engagement, even people loyal to the Stalin regime. The political repressions between 1937 to 1938 took place throughout the Soviet Union under the slogan, "To strengthen state power and eradicate the capitalist remnants in the people's consciousness, we must destroy the class enemy." The Soviet government uprooted dissidents, enemies, and antagonists. According to the decree passed by the government at the end of 1937, former Iranian and Turkish subjects living in the Soviet Union were condemned to repressions on the basis of the following two articles: execution or 10 years in labor camps. Stalin's repressions affected the Assyrian intellectuals as well.
Практически в каждой большой ассирийской семье есть репрессированные, есть расстрелянные родственники, сосланные.
Almost each large Assyrian family has victims of the Soviet repressions, those who have been shot, exiled, or become invalids. At the end of the 1930s, particularly in the period between 1937 and 1938, the repression started throughout the Soviet Union.
Искореняло, зачищало практически всех инакомыслящих, тех, кого она.
The Soviet government uprooted all the dissidents who were believed to be Soviet enemies and antagonists. Both educated and illiterate Assyrians were condemned to repression.
Хотя и немного среди них было интеллигенции, ассирийцы подверглись таким репрессиям. И простые ассирийцы, и образованные ассирийцы.
Many Assyrians who were arrested were illiterate in Russian and could not understand the cause of their arrest. A shoeblack was falsely accused of grievous faults, planning terror attacks against the communist power and engagement in intelligence services working against the Soviet government. Confessions, as a rule, were forced through violence. Among the arrested people were teachers, doctors, military men, heads of collectives and cooperative farms, peasants, workers, and others. Many women replaced their missing husbands at workplaces and raised their children alone. The orphans were given a horrible label. They were considered children of the nation's enemies. The people lived in fear as so-called Black Crow. The patrol of the National Committee of Interiors might stop at their home any night and take away a family member.
Из 10 арестованных в это время
several of the 10 arrested Assyrians were shot eventually. The rest were sent to labor camps, where many of them died. Many were deported from the Soviet Union. Families were split. The husbands, who were Iranian subjects, might have been exiled from the Union, while their families might have stayed in the country.
Какой-то муж иранско подданный мог быть выслан, а семья оставалась в России и навсегда не расставались.
Families broke up. Inexorable fate struck women as well. In 1936, Vardi Timiryazeva, whose maiden name was Bakuzova, was the head of the Mikoyan collective farm in Urmia Huder. In 1938, she was arrested with her husband. Later, they both were shot. Her 3 children were left orphans. The little one was only 9 months old. Vardi's sister took care of the orphans. 10 Assyrian women were shot as a result of absurd accusations.
Вот эта тетя моя, Тимирязева Варды, ее репрессировали.
This is my aunt, Timiryazeva Vardi. She was the head of the Assyrian collective farm in Urmia, in Krasnodar territory. She was repressed together with her husband. Her 2 5- and 9-year-old children became orphans, left in Urmia village.
И 7-летний сын остались сиротами в Урмии.
Raiza Ayvazova and Arthur Bakuzov are cousins. They live in the city of Rostov-on-Don. Their families had to endure repressions, exile, and war. They devotedly preserve the story of their family through these photos.
Во время репрессий отца выслали в Казахстан, Джамбульскую область.
During the repressions, my father was exiled to Kazakhstan. My aunt, uncle, and grandmother were deported to Iran. However, after World War II, my father managed to come to Novocherkassk and take my mom with him to Kazakhstan. I was born there. In 1960, we moved to Iran, and then 4 years later, in 1968, we returned to Novocherkassk, where we lived for a year and a half. In 1970, we moved to live in Rostov.
Взял мою маму, и они опять уехали в Казахстан. Там я вот родился. Брат у меня родился, и сестра родилась.
Hello, my dear mom, Pavlik and Sarah. Sorry that I haven't written to you all this time. I did not know whether I would stay here or be sent to another place. Now we are here, as we have always been here. Later they might take us to another place. Mom, I think you know that I am sentenced to 5 years of exile, as the special consultation court decided. Every time I sit down to write to you, I get upset and cannot go on. Now we work in the forest. It is a very hard work. The food is not sufficient, so we are hungry all the time. It is dark when we go to work, and it is dark when we come back. Mom, write to me about how you live there. How is Pavel? Is he well behaved, or is he the same? How is Sarah? My dear brother Pavel, I have only one request of you. Listen to Mom, because you are the only male left there, and all hope is on you. Goodbye, and warmest kisses to you all. Your son and brother, Avdej. Sarah was 13 when she received this letter from her exiled brother. Their family lived in the city of Novocherkassk, or Cherkez, as it was called by the Assyrians. After World War I, a large number of Assyrians moved here. They earned their living by cultivating grapes in orchards on land they rented. Sarah's father, Yakub Lazarev, an ordinary horticulturist, and her brother Barber Avdej Lazarev were arrested in 1937. Father Yakub Lazarev was later shot. There was no news on Avdej. They got only a short note on the cause of Yakub Lazarev's death. He died of lung inflammation. Still later, in the 1960s, the family received notice of their rehabilitation. The family of Sarah's husband was exiled to Kazakhstan. Sarah and her young children followed the exiles. In 1948, they returned to Novocherkassk. Sarah is 84 years old now and continues to live in Novocherkassk. All her relatives and friends are buried at the town cemetery. Only letters, photos, and memories remain. This is the Levashov wasteland. Residents of Leningrad, men and women of different nationalities who were executed, rest here. They are the victims of the Stalin regime. The silence and the sound of the raindrops tell us the tragic story of these people. There are also Assyrian names on the tombstones. Shklovsky, a Russian writer and a commissar of the provisional government in the Caucasus Front, described Azers in his book, A Sentimental Journey. After World War I, he met his Azor friend Lazar Zervandov in Leningrad. Years before, he had been the commander of the Assyrian Horse Artillery, which was under the command of Russia's Caucasian army in northern Persia. At the time when Shklovsky met Lazar again, he was polishing shoes in Leningrad. Many of Shklovsky's Azer friends had become shoeblacks in Moscow and Leningrad. In 1938, Lazar and many others were shot by the Bolshevik government. But the killings of Assyrian officers and soldiers of the Russian army had started back in the 1920s. Freydun Aturaya, a talented poet, doctor, and a daring patriot, was one of the first victims. His life was dedicated to developing and spreading the national ideology among Assyrian people. Dr. Freydun was arrested in 1926. He was accused of espionage and was shot in the fall of the same year. Such misfortune befell other Assyrian national leaders and ideologists. This is how Soviet power beheaded the Assyrian nation. On June 22, 1941, German forces swept into the Soviet Union. The Great Patriotic War had begun. The terror aimed at the Soviet people appeared set aside, as Stalin now needed patriots to protect the homeland. Many children, once labeled children of the nation's enemies, were recruited as volunteers and now perished for their so-called homeland. Like every nationality within the Soviet Union, the Assyrians also were included in the war. Several became officers, generals, and heroes. More than 2,500 Assyrians were killed during the Patriotic War, a large price for such a small community.